In the wise words of Pete Schweddy, my balls are here for your pleasure. That's right. Coming up next, guys, we're going to take a look at this all-purpose beef meatball mixture. And if you're gluten-free and dairy-free, come on over, guys. This is for you. So for the recipe, come on over to kcknh.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now, some folks who are really dedicated to the meatball will tell you, no, it's not just ground beef. You need beef, pork, and veal. Well, that's not necessarily true. It is the classic, but it's still not true. Meatballs around the world are made differently. So for this, we're going with ground beef. And it certainly is going to be a delicious approach to meatballs because we're actually looking at this from a very simple standard. Simple ingredients that you can get your hands on. So we're doing kosher salt, black pepper, whipped eggs, pureed garlic, chopped parsley, pulverized gluten-free oats, and diced onion. As usual, let's try to keep it simple. Grab a big bowl, guys. Now the recipe is set up as a 3-pound base. Now you don't have to go that crazy. I happen to like bulk cooking, so this might work for you. But you can easily cut the recipe in half. You can even cut it down to thirds. That's how I actually wrote this bulk recipe, so you can cut it down. Now the onions, try to keep them as small as you can. I would not consider pureeing them. You want a toothsome feel in the mix. That garlic, your life will be easy if you puree it, I have to say. And with the oats, you do want to get that down to a powder as best as you can. And with regard to salt and pepper, you're in charge, guys. So I started with about 3 to 4 heavy pinches. And before I can even taste test it, I have to mix everything as best as I can before it hits a tester pan. So we're gonna, at the end, the goal is to taste test this mixture before I commit it to rolling out the meatballs. So we want to make sure everything is mixed well. This oatmeal is the replacer of what you guys would typically use, milk and breadcrumbs. I'm not a fan of milk and breadcrumbs in my meatball. I have to be very truthful with you. I find it to be a very heavy meatball. But with the gluten-free oats brought down to a powder, I have to tell you the texture was very tender. I found that it wasn't a heavy meatball at all. In fact, it was like a meal on its own if you had 2 or 3 on a plate, which is actually what I did at the end of this. So at this point, we're just making sure everything is incorporated. I'm mashing it, I'm squishing it. I'm not too worried about the texture at this point, but I am going to make sure that I still have the ability to roll an actual meatball with this, and it's behaving perfectly. So on the outside of the video, I did do a tester patty, and we want to make sure that the seasoning is where I want it. So just cook a small little patty. Hey, snack time. Even the chef can eat something. And if you find the seasoning is perfect, you can commit to making the meatballs. But if you find that it still needs more, you're okay. Add your seasoning, remix it, do another tester patty. Now, the technical term for this is not ice cream scoop, folks. It's called a disher, D-I-S-H-E-R. This is to help me portion out the meatballs to 2 ounces per meatball. They come in a variety of sizes, but I find that this is a perfect size. Ultimately, you don't want to do a firm roll with this. You want to continue to keep this tender. So we're doing a gentle roll. And into the oven, 375 for about 18 to 20 minutes. You're going to have the most beautiful, full-flavored meatball. Look at the moisture, guys. That's not a dry meatball, guys. This is a super wicked, moist meatball. And here's that meatball marinara I talked about. It was a perfect meal all on its own. You can certainly use these meatballs if you wanted to do a honey whiskey maple barbecue glaze. I actually have a separate video for that. And also another way you can use these is to do a roasted red pepper sauce and hit it with some cheese and some herbs, a little bit of spicy flakes. You can still take this mix and add additional components. You can do a basic meatloaf mix by adding these ingredients to it. Or if you wanted to do a kofta mix, extra herbs, a few extra spices. And let's not forget the Greek meatball. We have some beautiful herbs and spices that you could still add to this mix. So folks, have fun making your meatballs. Let me know if I can help you out.